The time is 6 p.m. and the regular meeting of the Denison City Council is now in session. Pastor Blakely, are you here? I can't recognize everybody behind the mask. I guess not. Okay. So, Obi, would you lead us in our invocation?
Father God, the Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Father, we come to this evening with bowed heads and humble hearts. We come thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed on us. Father, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for our mountains. We thank you for our valleys. But most of all, Father, we thank you for your Son, Jesus. Now, Father, we pray that you will bless this time that we will spend together. We pray that the decisions we make this evening will be the best interest of the city of Denison and pleasing in your sight. Father, we pray for our first responders. Just put your loving arm of protection around them. Father, we pray for our servicemen and women around the world. And we pray for our leaders. Just lead, guide, and direct them in the way that you would have them to go. These things we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen. This evening, we have some very special folks with us to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. We have Knox Evans. Knox, you want to raise your hand? All right. Knox is a kindergartner at Mays Elementary. He says his favorite thing about school is getting to play with his friends. That sounds like recess. He also enjoys when his big sister plays cards with him. In addition, we have Emerson Evans. Emerson, you want to raise your hand? All right. Emerson's in the 2nd grade at Mays Elementary, and she loves to play on the monkey bars. Her favorite subject is math. Good for you. And she takes gymnastics, plays soccer, and she takes piano lessons. So that is a well-rounded young lady. We also have with us Hillary Evans, who is the PTO president at Mays, otherwise known as Mom to these two. So, anytime you're ready. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. That was wonderful. The first item on our agenda this evening is employee service recognition. We are very blessed in our community to have an environment where we recognize that our employees are the greatest asset that we have. So, Mr. Rex?
Come down here. Take it on. Break the date, right?
Keep your distance.
Play it safe. So I want to recognize 5 of our employees tonight who have hit certain milestones in their service to Denison. Either we do it in 5-year increments, and we do this quarterly. So as I read your name, please come up.
the month of October each year, we celebrate National Disability Employment Awareness Month. This focus allows us to look around and recognize those who can bring quality of place to the workstation, not because of their disabilities, but in spite of it. And Workforce Solutions Texoma uses this month to sponsor a lot of activities to be able to raise that awareness outside in our communities. So if Marsha Lindsay, Deputy Executive Director, will join me, we'll make this proclamation official. It's kind of hard to read this with the mask on, so Marsha, I'll keep that distance. How's that? All right. Whereas workplaces welcoming of the talents of all people, including people with disabilities, you all to know that I held my breath while I walked past everybody since I didn't have my mask on. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Howard Day, someone who is important and known well throughout our community, and he is a great friend to all things Eisenhower. Howard plays a huge role each and every year in our annual Eisenhower birthday celebration. He served as the Eisenhower Memorial Commission's ambassador to the state of Texas for the past 5 years. He has been a great advocate for the Eisenhower Memorial, and he has been instrumental in connecting the dots between the three legacy sites, Denison, Abilene, Kansas, and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Howard helped forge a strong connection between Denison and the Eisenhower Memorial. He made sure our voice was heard and that we had a presence at the memorial. During the groundbreaking in 2017, Howard made sure Denison was up front, securing second-row seating, only behind those who were actually on the program for the group that was able to travel there. And when the guest list was trimmed to 250 for the dedication, Howard was able to make sure that Denison was on that invitation list, and he is one of the few that had the opportunity to travel there to be part of that dedication. Howard is a 32-year veteran of the U.S. Army, and Howard, we thank you for your service, and he currently serves as the police chief of Ladonia. So Howard, thank you for joining us tonight, and the floor is yours.
Madam Mayor, I'm not sure I can help you that introduction or live up to it. Those are some pretty big shoes to fill. Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you so much for allowing me to speak for a few minutes. As you just heard, I had the humbling experience of standing there and watching them dedicate only our 7th presidential monument in our nation's capital. So think about that for a second. 45 presidents, only 7 have risen to the level of getting a presidential monument in our nation's capital. In the news interview that I gave, I spoke of the men in their long coats and top hats that we see in pictures in our history books at the Lincoln Memorial, at the Washington Monument. And I got to be one of those 200, well, actually less than 200 actually showed up. It was raining that night. I think that helped. But 250 invitations went out to be there for the dedication of a presidential monument. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to do anything in the rest of my life that's going to compare to that. I mean, that's historic. And we use that word a lot, but to be there to see a presidential monument dedicated, and only the 7th in our nation's history, was truly historic and an incredible honor. I also had the honor of representing the state of Texas. For a number of reasons, the representatives were not able to make it. And so I got to be the sole representative for the state of Texas. And again, just an incredible honor, an incredible honor. It's hard to believe that 5 years ago I was standing in your old council chambers and was introducing myself for the first time and handing out postcards to get people to sign to try and get Congress to kick loose the money we needed to get construction started. And then to be there for the groundbreaking and then for the dedication. Ladies and gentlemen, it took us 21 years to build that monument. 21 years. Government at its finest. And over the last 5 years, as the ambassador for the state of Texas, I have met hundreds of people at dozens of events talking about Dwight David Eisenhower. Oh, we have a moment. David Dwight Eisenhower, his actual given name. Just got to look in the family Bible. His mom didn't want him to be known as David Jr. Many of you know that, so. Well, wait a minute, John Akers is in the audience. Never mind. So it has been an incredible honor. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. The commission now, having completed the monument, will will close their doors, and they will go on to other projects in the DC area. So I'm not quite sure what my ambassadorship will look like moving forward, but I have been very honored to wave the Denison flag as loudly and as high as I possibly could in Washington, D.C. And you are the very first film on the E Memorial, where it all began right here in Denison, Texas. So on that note, I brought back a few mementos that I was asked to present. Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
On behalf of General Riddell, Ms. Jacobson, Mr. Perez, and the other members of the commission, I'm very honored to give you this very limited edition copy of the program, and we all had face masks. I like I had face masks. And some other mementos. They wanted to make sure that we delivered these in person.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much for your support. Ms. Donna Dow, who has worked tirelessly and kept me in line. Donna, thank you for everything. And I'll see you on Saturday. And Mr. John Akers, who has the incredible task of maintaining the birthplace and, sir, add a little bit to the legacy of Dwight David Eisenhower.
Thank you. We look forward to putting in our collection.
All right, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been my honor to serve as the State of Texas Ambassador and represent Denison at the national level. And I hope you all get a chance to get up there and see the monument. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, we know, Howard, that you represented us well there as the lone Texan. You know, we had, they say the best laid plans of mice and men, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, no one planned on COVID. And as hard as we tried, we wanted to be there.
We had some big plans, didn't we, Madam Mayor?
We did have
We were
big
bringing the three
plans.
cities together. We spent months on that plan.
We did, and I did watch it online, and I may or may not have shed a tear or two while I was watching it, because I'm a great fan of Brett Baer, and I couldn't believe that I was missing it, so.
You should have texted me, ma'am. I would have handed the phone to him. Thank you all again so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, well, that was a lot of things to get done before we actually begin business tonight. So at this point in time in our meeting, time is set aside for public comments. For any citizen wishing to speak on behalf of any agenda item that is listed on the agenda, in order to speak, they must fill out a request to speak card prior to reaching this point in our meeting. Fanchon, did we have anyone fill out a request to speak card?
No, Mayor, we didn't.
All right, then therefore there'll be no public comments. Item 4, consent agenda.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as written in the record.
Second.
There is a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Doty and a second by Councilmember Hander. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Item 5A, receive a report, hold a discussion, conduct a public hearing, and take action on an ordinance amending Chapter 24 taxation, Article 3, hotel occupancy tax, Section 24 through 46, definitions, Section 24 through 47, established and levied, Section 24 through 49, collection of tax by hotel and payment to the city, and Section 24 through 50, records to be maintained by the hotel. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I wanted to start off with a look at the increase in short-term rentals in Denison over the last year. 2019, we saw about 20 to 22 active rentals. 2020, we saw an increase to about 48 to 55 active rentals in our area. And that's city limits and in our ETJ. So more than doubled in 1 year. Travel trends. During and post-COVID, travelers are seeking more privacy when vacationing and therefore seeking out short-term rentals over hotel stays, which could also contribute to the fact that we saw such an increase. So to look at the numbers, during COVID, the average nightly rate of short-term rentals in Denison increased from $143 to $158 a night. The average occupancy rate increased from 59% to as high as 92%. And the monthly revenue increased from $1,953 to $3,717 on average. And we looked at the numbers and came up with, on the low end, that's roughly $5,000 to $7,000 a month in hotel occupancy tax revenue. Hotels have an average nightly rate of $92, and during the pandemic, the occupancy averaged between 30% to 47%. So short-term rentals as assets. They are assets to our community, and as we promote them to tourists as overnight stay options, we'll be bringing business to the community and increase hotel occupancy tax revenue. As Denison grows, we want to be proactive in our approach to hotel occupancy tax collection and building relationships with our Denison stakeholders. And I have been able to discuss this with several short-term rental hosts, both in city limits and ETJ, and the response I have gotten has been very positive and being excited to partner with us in our marketing efforts and bring more tourists to Denison and bring more revenue to our local economy. So the ordinance amendments, the proposed amendments to Chapter 24, Taxation, Article 3, Hotel Occupancy Tax include the following. Defining hotels to also be short-term rentals, and also clearly defining short-term rentals as occupancy for all or part of a residential structure, residential property, whether or not permanently occupied by others. And as the state defines it, this is in line with the state. The state defines hotel has the meaning assigned by Section 156.001 as including short-term rentals, which means the rental of all or part of a residential property to a person who is not a permanent resident. So the other amendments include any short-term rental or hotel in the city's ETJ will also be required to pay the hotel occupancy tax. Because the city of Denison has a population of less than 35,000, we are authorized by Section 351.0025 to impose the hotel occupancy tax in the city's ETJ. Every hotel within the city or within the city's ETJ will be required to pay the hotel occupancy tax to the city by the 15th day of the month. And every hotel within the city or within the city's ETJ will be required to maintain accurate records of the hotel occupancy tax paid by the occupant of each sleeping room. So as for the timeline, we're looking at if this is adopted, the ordinance changes would be effective as of January 1st, 2021. And as part of the collection process, we would be working with a company called Lodging Revs to assist in the property identification, collection, and compliance. And at this time, I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Ms. Robinson? Discussion from council? A motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the ordinance amending the taxation ordinance, Chapter 24, Article 3, hotel occupancy tax as presented.
Second.
Hey, Mayor, before we vote, we did list this on the agenda as a public hearing. It's not under the public hearing section, but the agenda item listed a public hearing. So I would recommend we open that up and then close it and move ahead, sorry.
We can do that. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this agenda item? There being none, the public hearing is closed. Now,
I move to approve the ordinance amending the taxation ordinance, Chapter 24, Article 3, hotel occupancy tax as presented.
Second.
there is a motion by Councilmember Greenleaf and a second by Councilmember Crawley. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a written service agreement and resolution directing staff to proceed with public hearings and the commencement of the annexation process of G-0781 Manning, JMA-G0781 acres .64, 2101 Knight Road,
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The application that we have before you, or the resolution before you rather, will give direction to staff to move forward with the annexation process of 2101 Knight Road. The prospective developer is looking at a small multifamily development consisting of about 2 acres. Meeting with the applicant and discussing the development process, we identified that this little triangular piece outlined in blue is technically outside of the city limits. While it is address 2101 Knight Road, same as the property below it that is adjacent, or that is in city limits and adjacent to Knight Road, that property is within city limits. Here's a preliminary elevation and site plan of the project. We do expect this to change and evolve over time. However, today's item is just the initial direction to move forward with bringing this little piece of the property consisting of 0.64 acres into city limits. At the time of annexation, we will also hold, prior to annexation, of course, we'll be holding up 2 public hearings, one with our Planning and Zoning Commission, another one with this body here. The applicant's also seeking to zone the property to multifamily 2. So we would rezone the piece that's inside the city limits and initially zone the new piece coming into the city all in one meeting. So I'm present for any questions that you may have, and we recommend approval.
Questions for Mr. Medina? Discussion from council? A motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the annexation resolution and written service agreement.
Second.
There is a motion by Councilmember Hander and a second by Councilmember Greenleaf. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you, Bill. Item 5C, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a resolution adopting a program for the bargaining and sale of city abatement liens and providing executory authorization to the city manager. Boy, that was a mouthful. Mr. Rex.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm excited to introduce to you tonight something that's been in the works for a couple months that really stems from our goal to create additional housing and building opportunities in the city of Denison. As background, as you know, many of our infill lots remain undeveloped due to a number of issues, some of which are title related. Many of these vacant properties have out-of-state ownership, owners that aren't aware that they own the property, or they're owned by multiple heirs to an estate. Lots of title issues related to our vacant infill lots. In addition, there are lots that the city has maintained for a long time through code compliance issues with tall grass, nuisance properties, that sort of thing. And so a lot of these lots are desirable, but there's no clear path to ownership for builders to actually get them, acquire, and build on them. In addition, a lot of these vacant lots have liens on them that are the result of us curing nuisances in the past, mostly tall grass, but some demolition liens as well. So the opportunity that's there is for the city to actually sell or assign the lien to an outside party, the builder or developer, who can then turn around and use that lien to foreclose on the property and obtain clear title through that process. We've had some discussion with our builders stakeholder group in the past, exploring the idea. We explored a little bit further with the city attorney, and looks like something that can definitely be done and maybe a good route for us to take to help free up lots for development. So in the resolution and the accompanying sale agreement, some of the conditions that we've put in there are that the developer must initiate foreclosure on the property within 1 year of acquiring the lien. So once they purchase it, they have some amount of time that they must initiate that process. It may take longer than a year, but at least get that process started for them to actually gain title to the property. And then pull a building permit within 2 years, construct it consistent with the code. One thing we want to make sure of is that as they pay off the liens, especially the mowing liens on the property, that we don't have to continually go out there and maintain the property. So that's part of the agreement too, is that they take care of it versus us. And in the event of a default, meaning they couldn't meet the conditions outlined in the contract, the lien would come back to the city, we'd refund the money, and try it again, basically, go through that process again. I will say this is a new program. Really appreciate Julie and John from the city attorney's office helping really explore this opportunity. It's a little bit of an experiment. This is not widely done, and especially the way that we want to pursue it. But we think it's going to result in some additional lots coming up for development. As far as kind of how we'd administer this and approach assigning or selling these liens, liens greater than $10,000 or on significant property, and I say significant meaning it's maybe in a more prominent location, it's got some history to it that we want to be more involved and sensitive to, we would actually place those out for public bids so that we can look at what's offered for paying that lien off and what proposal is submitted in terms of what they want to do with the property, take that into consideration and really decide the best route for the city. This is mostly going to be on larger tracts of land that have large demolition projects that were done in the past. Most of our mowing liens are under $10,000, and so for the liens that are under $10,000, we'd strictly kind of assign those on a first-come, first-served basis. So as our builders look for lots to build on in the infill areas, and they come across liens and difficult title issues on property, they could simply approach the city, offer to pay off and purchase that lien, and then go through the foreclosure proceedings to gain title to the property. So the resolution does have a standard contract that's attached to that. Again, want to thank Julie and John for working on that and generating it for us. That's really going to be our document to convey this and make each transaction happen. And really look forward to just trying this out a little bit. I think it's just another tool in our toolbox for helping make sure that we're providing affordable housing in the infill areas and hope that it's successful. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And Julie, I know you worked on this quite a bit, so feel free to add anything if you have any other insights or answered questions as well.
Judd, the question I have is the ones that are over $10,000, does the minimum bid start with what's owed?
I think that would depend on each scenario, because there are some properties I can think of where we have large liens on them where the lien does not exceed the value of the property. So in that case, we'll really want as much as they'll pay for to cover the lien. And I think most of the time we're going to end up getting our money back for that lien. But on some of the larger demolitions that we've done, the lien exceeds the value of the property, and so I think we're hoping to get as much as we can out of that, and just take the highest bid in most cases.
Further questions for Mr. Rex? Discussion from council? A motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the resolution adopting a program for the bargaining and sale of city abatement liens and providing executory authorization to the city manager.
Second.
There is a motion by Councilmember Frawley and a second by Councilmember Spiegel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. We want to thank all of you for joining us tonight, especially Councilmember Teeman from the Sherman City Council. Thank you for coming and visiting with us. And at this time, pursuant to Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, the council reserves the right to convene an executive session from time to time as deemed necessary during this meeting to receive legal advice from its attorney on any posted agenda item as permitted by law, or to discuss the following: consult with attorney on a matter in which the attorney's duty to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct conflicts with this chapter, and/or consult with attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or contemplated settlement of the same. Annual review of the city manager. Discuss the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment of duties, discipline or dismissal of or or to hear a complaint against a public officer or employee, section 551.074, annual review of the city manager. We're going to ask that all of you please vacate the council chamber so that we can go into executive session here and maintain our social distancing. Thank you all for coming and joining us tonight. The time is 6:38 and the